All right, so I alluded to this video in my last one over the Volp, but I want to have a quick discussion and maybe a little bit of a review of these two knives, but mostly a discussion over clones. In a previous video, I stated that I am not a fan of clones and I don't condone purchasing them. And I know there's kind of a stigma in the Bali community about clones, and I get it. But I watched a Cutlery Lover video, and he kind of changed my perspective a little bit. And it kind of made me think about it in a different way. I work and have worked my past 10 years in the automotive industry. I am an automotive technician turned teacher, automotive teacher. And so I was able to kind of take what Cutlery Lover was talking about, what Jeff was talking about, and apply it to my industry, in that as soon as something is produced or invented, other people start copying. And just because there are copies doesn't necessarily mean that that's entirely a bad thing. Everything in cars is copied by other manufacturers, right? And as long as it's not breaking copyright laws, it's perfectly legal. And nobody bats an eye whenever you purchase a Ford versus a Chevy versus a Toyota, and they all have very, very similar technology, whether that be direct injection or, forced induction or hybrid, right? I mean, Toyota invented hybrids with the Prius, and everybody has them now, right? So I guess my point is, as long as the knife that you are purchasing is not a flat-out counterfeit, what are you going to do about it, I would love to have the real Orca. And if they were readily available, I wouldn't be opposed to purchasing one for that, $1,200 asking price or whatever it is. Same thing with a CHAB. I would love to purchase a real CHAB. I have one in my wish list on Blade HQ, and I'm on BRS's drop list, and I'm ready to buy one, but I have not been able to in, months. Every time I attempt to snag one up, I'm unable. I've been sitting there reloading the page, just like many of you, whenever there's about to be a drop, trying to snag one, and I'm always unable. Versus, you go over to, Slash to Gash's website, which I've dealt with them many times now. They're awesome. I have had no issues with Slash to Gash. I always feel mildly uncomfortable saying the name, but the customer service is awesome. So I have only purchased the TheOne branded clones. I have not purchased Bali Plus or Arm Shark or any of the other ones. I would love to get I would love to get a real Tsunami, and I would like to get a Bali Plus Tsunami, but the blade on the Bali Plus Tsunami says Squid Industries on it, so I won't buy that. That is a counterfeit, in my opinion. It says Squid Industries on it, and there's not any differentiation, not much anyway, between the clone and the real one. So in my opinion, that's counterfeit, and that's wrong. Now, if you listen to what I'm saying and you say this guy's full of crap, I don't agree with any of that, and I'm not buying clones, and that's cool. And you can post in the comments how you disagree with me, and that's totally fine. Everyone can have their own opinion. But if you're not breaking any laws and it's your money, do with it what you will, right? So I have the TheOne CHAB, and I have purchased the TheOne Orca. Now, the TheOne Orca, this is not the blade shape that comes on the real Orca. And, of course, the quality is not here, right, on either of these knives. The real production versions of both of these knives are going to be significantly higher quality. The blade on this scratches very easily. It came with some light scratches on it, but for the $160 that you can buy this off of Slash to Gash for, who really cares? It is milled channel titanium handles. I think this weighs 4.5 to 5 ounces. I don't remember off the top of my head. It is a pinless design. It runs on bushings. The tolerances, are incredible for the price point. There is no tap. And for a super mediocre flipper like me, I hate to say it, but this is better than almost every other knife I own, as far as the flipping experience goes. Not the quality, but the flipping experience. It does not beat the Crake Raken, in my opinion. But that being said, these are very different knives. You have an aluminum versus a titanium knife. They flip rather different. either way, the Crake Raken is a better flipping knife, along with being a better made knife, and a much more expensive knife, right? That being said, for 165 bucks, this knife is definitely worth it. I mean, not to mention you can buy how many of these? 9 of them, 8 of them before you get to the price of a real one. And of course, there's no, there's no branding on this knife that says JK. So it is perfectly legal. If you have qualms with that, that's okay. You don't have to purchase them, right? As for the CHAB, very similar experience. You can't just go on to Blade HQ and purchase one of these. You can't just go onto BRS's website and pick one up, unfortunately. I wish that were the case, because I really would purchase a real one versus a clone. Maybe not of the Orca, because it's $1,200. I would probably save up and try to convince my girlfriend to let me, but, we'll see. But for, for $450 or $500, I could justify that in my head for a CHAB, and I would love to get a real one. And with this one, once again, there's no branding. It does not say BRS. And it uses tang pins. The real CHAB uses, it uses Zen pins. The real CHAB is going to use tang pins. So there's really no, misinterpreting this for a real one. I mean, if you're a brand new flipper and you look at it and say, oh, that looks like a CHAB, and then you get ripped off, that's terrible. And anyone who would be trying to sell these knives and ripping people off by selling them as the real thing, that's terrible and shouldn't be done. But for the price point, for 165 bucks, being able to buy a channel titanium butterfly knife on bearings with supposedly D2 blade steel, I don't know if that is actually the case. It's Chinesium, so who knows? You can't beat it. And these both flip really well. The Orca does flip, in my opinion, a lot better. Maybe not even a lot, but better than the CHAB. If I could only have one of these, I would take the Orca. The Orca is pretty much my daily driver. I EDC this thing all the time. And, it's for 165 bucks. I'm not afraid to drop it. I'm not afraid to really beat on it and use it. And if I snap it, snap a handle in half or dent it really bad or ruin the blade, whatever, I can go purchase another one at Slash to Gash, no problem, for 170 bucks, have 160 bucks, whatever it is. And, of course, that's still a lot of money, but if you were to ruin a real JK Orca, I mean, I would cry myself to sleep. I don't think I'd be able to deal with that. I have not dealt with or witnessed any handle gap issues with the pinless system. I know that I believe the real Monarch had some issues, the first few versions maybe, where the handles began to have some slap. So far, I've had this one for about 2 months, a month or two, I believe 2 months, and I haven't noticed any decrease in gap. So I believe that it's a fairly robust knife. I don't think it will hold up as well as regular old Zen pins or tang pins, but it really does flip great. And the CHAB flips great too. Until I got the Orca, I was absolutely blown away by the CHAB, and I thought it flipped amazing. And, if the real versions of these knives flip better than these do, they're absolutely, well, the CHAB especially is absolutely worth the asking price. $1,200 is a lot for a knife. For a normal, person to be able to go and spend that kind of money, there's nothing wrong with that. If you can do it, that's awesome. But that knife better be pretty stinking awesome for that price. And both of these flip fantastic, as I've said, but if the real versions flip better, then that's awesome. But, I mean, they must be incredible if they flip better than these, because these really do flip well, in my opinion. And I've said in multiple videos, I'm not that great of a flipper. I'm pretty mediocre. But in my opinion, they flip great. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. We're coming up on 10 minutes. Throw your thoughts on what I said in the comments. If you disagree with me, cool, no problem. If you agree with me, awesome, once again. So, have a good one.